Hi, this is the last of my Mancala videos. It's adding file I/O to the program, and so might as well get to the program. I'm just going to iconify this. And this is getting back into the program. If you see, the latest modification was done on 12 October. And the purpose is adding file I/O to track the user's performance over time. Then I have not added any include files. And I do have a slow system today. So then I'm just going through, show you there's no new include files. Well, actually there are. The F stream for file stream and the S stream for, this is for being able to get a line at a time. And so this is a string stream, and both are required for making the read and writes as simple as possible. Then I decided that I was going to go ahead and then incorporate the information in find winner. And then I have another one that is a very short one that I've just put up high enough so that it can be called the two places it's needed. And this is print player statistics. All it does is prints out the name, wins, losses, ties. And then I see out the player's name. These are all the stored variables that are up at the top, and always do an end-L. So I just go through and print out the information for both players. Then there's two places I call this. At the end of initialize player, after going through all this, which I've gone through before. And then see, well, actually, I haven't gone through this one part. Then this is where I check the information already in file for each player. And so I say infile.open. Then I'm doing file name base plus text and place info from previous games stored. Then I'm doing, if it exists, then I'm going through and seeing if I can find the names, because I read in the names, games, wins, losses, ties, and then do a, well, I say something's not found, so I'm going to set this to false. And then in this case, then this is so I can go ahead and reuse it and just come down here to use it again as a flag to determine whether I need to print out something to the output file, which in this case is with a suffix of .bak, which is a standard suffix for a backup file. So I am just going to create a backup file. And if you notice, if the name is in the file, then I load up the information that is read in, and I load it up into the files. And then I say true. So this next part is skipped. So I'm not writing into the backup file, so I don't have to worry about duplicate names. And then I come back up here and do it for, keep on going through the whole file and see if the second, either the first or second name, and it doesn't really make any difference what order the names are in and who is the player one, who is the player two, because it will search for both player one and player two for each line that's read in. Then all the ones that are in lines that are not found, it looks like I just rewrite the information out to the back file. Then I go ahead and close the out file, which is the back file, and I close the in file, which is the .text file. Then after I do this, then if you remember the print player statistics section I had, so it prints out the two players and their current statistics. So I have it at the beginning before I then decide which player goes first. Then the last stone you've already seen and I've already gone over. Player move, I've already gone over also. And then empty side, I've already gone over. And then here's the find winner. So then I go through, and this is then, I think I already went over this, but again, is if the Mancala for player one is larger, then I say that player one won. And then I go ahead and player one wins, plus, plus, player two losses, plus, plus. And then I return the value of the winner. And likewise, if Mancala for player one is less than Mancala for player two, then I go ahead and do it the exact opposite way. And then I return a 2. Otherwise, then it is player 1 and player 2 tied. And then I do a player plus plus, player for player 2 and player 1 for player ties. And then it's a tie, so I just am returning 0. Then I do a red foul. Then I have a separate store statistics routine that stores into the file. And if you notice, I have an IF stream in file, OF stream out file. For IF stands for input file, OF stands for output file. And then out file open, text and back. And then out file and in file, I make sure that they both exist. And if they do, then I'm going to go ahead and get line from in file. I'll just call it transfer data, which is a string I define. Then if you notice, I do out file, and then I put in the transfer file. And then in order to indicate that it's the end of line, I have to do an endl here. Otherwise, all the lines will stack up going across instead of being individual lines. So once I have loaded these, and notice it has to have both files. If they're not both files, then the first 2 lines I'm going to write into the out file are the 2 players. And so I'm just going to go ahead and go through the loop again, and then just do player 1, and then player 2. Now, if you remember on the backup file does not have either of these players in it. And if the system goes down during the time, then we don't have winners for these 2 players anyway, so that the main Mancala.txt file is still a valid file, and that's why I use a .back file. It's something that's common in the industry to always have a backup in case anything goes wrong. And then only when I am going through and copying the back file into the main file, and then copying the 2 people into the main file, then it's all done. And if you want to see, then we have in here, I believe, yeah, I have the back file. Excuse me. I need to go here and then go to Mancala Board. Then if you notice, I have a .bak and a .txt file. And if you want to look what the txt file looks like, then if you notice with the last two entries of Fred and Henry, then Henry's played 3 games and his record is 1-2. Bob's played 1 game and he tied 1 game. Fred's played 4 games, 2 1-1. And so we just have the records here. And then for the Mancala file, excuse me, for the backup file, then we'll just go ahead and maybe just have them so you can see both of them. If you notice, then the way it's set up is all the files are in here except for Frank and Henry, and that's what the last part here did. Let me just go ahead and then that's what you can see, all the files being copied over, which is what this did, and those are the files that are copied over. And then the last 2 entries are added at the end. And if we have players that play the same game again, then their lines will be replaced. If I have new players, then we'll go ahead and put in new players. So let me just show you what a quick game looks like, if possible. And then probably I should close those 2 down so that it won't interfere with the game, because the game will try to read and write from those files. And so I will go ahead and here's startup. And so Bob hasn't played in a while, so I'm going to go ahead and say Bob. And John. Okay, and if you notice, then the wins, losses, and ties. And so then flip a coin is the most fun because that uses the random number generator. Then I have my game started. And it says Bob's turn. And so notice I'm supposed to pick from 0 to 5. Like if I say 8, then it'll just come back and ask me for a choice again. If I do a letter, then it'll say, please type a number. And then I will go ahead and type in a 2. Then type in a 5. Then just show you some of the features here. If you notice, then I will type in an 8 to get 1 in, and notice it's my turn again. So I'll type in a 12. And notice then there's one of the rules here is that if I type in a 0, notice what happens when the last stone goes into pit 5. Then notice both 5 and 7 disappear, and all of a sudden the Mancala is already up to 8. So then it's player 2's turn, and there's nothing really good to do. So I'm just going to do a 6 or a 9. And notice I added, and now I have several different choices. And I might just do a 0. And then I'll do a 12, get that one in. And do a 10. And then I'm running out of things to do. If I do a 2, then I'm going to do a 12. Then I only have one move left here unless the person does something. Oh, it's my turn again, so I only have one move. So I do a 7. Whoops, 11. Oh, okay. I don't have it. That's cheating a little bit, but I'm not forcing the person to move. That's something you have to decide whether you like that on the rules or not. And that's something we can discuss. So I've done a 5. Clears out that. And then I might do a 4. And now it's my turn again. And I might do a 9. And I might do a 0 here. Or no, I'll do a 5. Get that one out. And then do a 0. Now watch what happens when I do an 8 here. Because it's capturing the opposite side. And then I'll do a 1, because that's the only choice I have. And then I'm going to do a 7. That's 5, so I'm going to do a 5. Then I'm going to do a 2. Then I'm going to do a 10. And I'm going to do a, I don't want to, I'm going to do an 8. Then I'm going to do a 3. And then I'm going to do a 9, because I don't want to do the 10, because I want to show you what happens. And then I can do I can just go out, so it'd be a 5, a 4, then a 5. Now, notice what I have, 17 to 15 right now. So I'm going to add 1 stone to Mancala for player 1, which is 6, and then just what happens to 13. And notice all the players, because I got everything that was added in. Then it gives me the information, and then asks me when I want to play again. I'll say no. In which case, then it's the end of game. Notice I've now played 2 games. Bob has played 2 games. And I can add percentages, all sorts of things here. So I hope you enjoyed this. And if you have any questions, please just ask. Then I'm going to be stop sharing. Stop recording.